Hello, my name is Peter Nares, and I'm the Executive Director of Social and Enterprise Development Innovations, or SETI. Welcome to Exploring Self-Employment Opportunities for People with Disabilities, a video produced by SETI in partnership with the Ontario Government's Ministry of Citizenship, Jim Pullen and Associates, RBC Financial Group, the Toronto Business Development Centre, and the Glen Crombie Centre for Disability Services at Cambrian College. Like many people in Ontario these days, more and more people with disabilities are thinking about self-employment as an employment option. And while the idea of being our own boss is exciting, most of us aren't sure how to begin, what questions we need to ask ourselves, and how to go about making the decision to become self-employed. You're about to meet 4 successful entrepreneurs with disabilities from across Ontario, discussing how they made the decision to become self-employed and what part their disabilities played in their business considerations and final decisions. We think you will find their discussions informative and inspirational, and that they will help answer some of your questions about exploring self-employment opportunities for people with disabilities.
Getting started.
My name is Rudy Enns, and the name of the company is Enspace. And we're a graphics communications company. We produce corporate materials, catalogs, price lists for large and small companies. We also produce designs, letterheads, logos for corporate rebranding. Enspace has been around for almost 5 years. The disability I have is I had polio when I was 13 months old. My personal background has basically been working in a corporate environment and then finally making the leap to start my own business.
Hi, Andrea. It's Rudy. I've got your samples here, business cards, your logo's in place, letterhead. When you got a minute, just come on by and we can talk about them. Bye-bye.
I had my personal friend and now business partner, David, who started to provide computerized note-taking services to me as a student.
This is me, David Musico, and my business partner, Kim Scott. The name of the company is Sudbury Note-Taking Services.
We discovered there was such a great need for this service. Then we decided to look into starting up a business and providing the service and contracting out people to provide the support to other people with disabilities. We don't just provide the print interpretation, we try to provide the backup consultation that's needed. We've been in business now for about 3.5 years.
My name is John Lambe. I'm visually impaired. I have a company called On the Spot Cleaning Services, Inc. It's actually incorporated. We do residential house cleaning. I've been in business since basically January of 2000. When I started out, I discovered that I couldn't get employment with a company because I needed special equipment, special computer equipment. Nobody actually wanted to hire me on. So what happened is because nobody wanted to hire me, I decided, well, I'll look into self-employment.
$17 first credit.
My name is Dan Thompson, and I have my own company called DG Rehabilitation Technologies Limited.
Dan Thompson, can I help you?
If someone was to have an accident, I have to determine what costs they would need for services and equipment for them to get on with their lives. I also provide what they call case management. So when someone has a catastrophic injury, then I would basically act as case manager to go out and acquire all the services and equipment they need to, again, successfully reintegrate back into society.
Oh, okay. How did the report pan out? Was it helpful?
I know that I always wanted to be self-sufficient and wanted to do a good job, but I think my entrepreneurial career has been, a product of evolution. I think throughout the 21 years of being self-employed, I've also had several stints of actually being employed, and that's also helped to develop the skills that I have today as well.
I wasn't getting a lot of job offers that I could truly work to my potential. So I felt that self-employment really was the only way that I was ever going to be able to accomplish that.
The original idea, I guess, of starting my own business came through an example of my dad being self-employed. He was a hard worker, and I found that's the trait that is one of the things that I utilize a lot.
The right stuff. Personal entrepreneurial traits.
I feel that I'm very knowledgeable, I'm very assertive, I'm outgoing, and I have so much to offer this world. But so many times people are not willing to look past my deafness.
You got to have confidence in yourself. You got to go out. Nobody's going to come to the door and give it to you. You have to go out and work hard.
I need to be active. I need to be motivated.
I'm going into this. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to research it. I'm going to make sure that when I go into it, I'm going to be successful.
Perseverance, drive, and your willingness to stick to something is a major component in any successful individual who has his own business.
I think for me the biggest factor has been my stubbornness and my force of will.
My ability, my drive wouldn't be satisfied in a 9-to-5 job.
We actually have a great deal of potential in certain areas that the average person may be lacking in, and we need to have it because it's our survival.
One of the most important skills that I have is creativity. I think I learned that even when I had my accident.
People with disabilities tend to be very resourceful. We're masters at problem solving. Because we have to overcome problems and barriers that most people wouldn't even comprehend on a daily basis, we sharpen that ability to problem solve.
Leadership skills are very, very important.
You really do need to, especially if you're disabled, you must be assertive. It's essential.
The ability to sell an idea or a concept is also very, very important, because sometimes it's not always just selling the product or the service. It's also selling the whole concept that goes along with that idea that is part and parcel of the business.
You end up having to balance. There's the responsibility of balancing.
I'm also a curious sort, so I like to know everything as well. And I guess I've had the benefit of having such a large family. For example, I have 3 family members that are police officers. I guess that's where I probably learned some of my research and investigation skills to do the type of work that I'm doing now. I have 3 family members that are teachers. I also have a family member that's an accountant, so I learned a lot about accounting and proper bookkeeping.
Experience counts. Business knowledge and skills.
I took radio broadcasting at Fanshawe College and tried my hand at that, and I think that's where I developed some of my marketing skills, which was very helpful, and I think a sort of a key component in developing the skills I needed to be a successful entrepreneur.
I've worked with the public for many years, and so in terms of dealing with the marketing aspect of the business, I had a lot of experience in that area. Okay, well, I'm going to be busy for about another half hour, but I'll be coming in the office shortly. So we both had some background and knowledge in how to run business, and I had some background, administrative and supervisory background as well. And I understand my own hearing loss and others, so that was a definite asset and skill. My partner, David, being one of the best computerized note takers that you're ever going to meet in Canada, has worked with several clients. He enjoys doing accounting and bookkeeping. I can't stand it, so we felt very strongly that our backgrounds, personal and business, made it very suitable for us to go into this business.
The business skills I brought in, well, for accounting, I can do all my accounting. I can do like business planning, certainly lead people. And I did a business admin where I turned out honor roll. I did accounting, honor roll, business management honor roll.
I went to college, learned everything, all the different stages of print production. This is for an eyeglass company. I took the pictures of their glasses and put the document together in a desktop publishing package and had them all printed. The business skills that I had were basically the ability to do the creative. I've had experience just to be able to understand the print process and the graphic design applications I had experience in over 25 years. So when I started my own business, the areas that I needed to improve on were the basic office organization. We're talking bookkeeping and accounting principles. Just wanting to touch bases with you regarding the December's financials. One of the things that I had to deal with was making sure that I had a good qualified accountant and a bookkeeper to handle the day-to-day paperwork, which is not of interest to me. You know, I still needed to be trained to understand what they're talking about and what they're dealing with about cash flow, you know, potential income areas and some red flags to be aware of at the end of the month or during the month.
I've been able to use my combination or accumulation of skills to continue in that capacity to be a successful entrepreneur. And it also comes down to the necessity. You know, I learned to do things because I had to learn how to do things.
Sharpening the vision. Business ideas.
I did discover voice recognition products, which was my first, I guess, real venture as an entrepreneur.
Voice console, wake up, cancel please.
Our main target audience was people with disabilities. We also sold to lawyers and also to insurance companies. So it became a natural progression that I developed into becoming a registered rehab professional because it was the same target audience.
We came up with the original idea out of necessity. Because for me, I found that I required the service myself, and I was finding it very difficult to find someone who could do the work that I needed to be done. We knew we had a good idea, and we just threw ourselves into it with everything we had.
It was kind of more viable for me to look into a cleaning company because I had done it, and I knew what I was going to be, what I could handle and what I couldn't. Well, I can honestly say my wife and my two kids were very supportive of me starting a business, as well as my brothers and sisters and my parents. The biggest support, I would say, is through a business consultant who helped me quite a bit.
I actually started in high school, where our staff was responsible for creating our yearbook. And from high school I went to college here in Toronto and learned all aspects about the business that I'm involved in now. I've had to keep abreast of the constant changes within the industry, acquiring the latest software, you know, the web has come in and how that's impacted on my business. The idea of starting my own business and staying in this area is because of the fact that I've been involved with marketing, promotion companies, and communications companies doing other people's promotional material on the one-to-one level. So the idea was to stay there. It's a field that I'm happy with, that I'm comfortable with, and know a lot of.
Doing the groundwork. Market research.
One of my first unsuccessful ventures, probably when I was about 18 or 19 after my accident, I decided to try to sell weightlifting equipment. But I guess I really didn't think it all the way through, and that I didn't really research or explore who exactly was going to buy my product, how much were they willing to spend, and how logistics, I guess, of how I would get myself out to meet the customers to actually sell my product. Now, I was successful in selling one unit and was able to recoup some of my costs. And I think it was going to be very difficult to make it economically feasible. It's a difficult question, I guess, to come up with an easy answer, I guess, on market research.
That's one of the toughest areas, is to define your niche or your role. The kind of service that you can provide to your customer, that's something that we as an individuals like doing. Where are the people that are going to buy that kind of service?
We contacted the different schools across northeastern Ontario. We contacted various agencies that service these groups in other ways and manners to get their input. We looked at the city that we were living in And we looked at the schools. We looked at the percentages of people with hearing loss that were attending post-secondary schools nowadays. We realized that there was usually enough people that attending post-secondary schools with the need that it would be financially viable for us to run this business.
I telephoned, made calls, followed up with letters, got the names of the individual people who would actually be purchasing outside services, printing, graphic services.
I really like this font. I prefer this font definitely to this font.
Okay. The market research
to have the same
has helped me to understand that I am going in the correct direction.
I think it's very important to find out as much information as possible. Basically, what you want to do is you want to find out who's going to buy your product. You want to find out basically how much you can sell your product and or service for. And the only way I think you're going to be able to do that successfully is to ask questions. You could possibly set up surveys and send that out to potential customers or people you feel are going to be potential customers. You might want to actually contact your competition and find out from them what exactly is it that they're selling. What kind of products and services are they selling, and how they came up with their pricing schedule. And my experience has been, most people will tell you a lot of information.
Do the market research. It may not be exactly what you think you may do, or that you may do now, but there's always a little slant that you can go left and right and try to focus on that.
Hi, Mr. Pearson. It's John Lambe from On the Spot Cleaning Services. I'm calling with regards to the house cleaning. My customer at first was anybody who basically had a home to live in or a condo or apartment. We figured, well, doctor's offices, banks, stuff like that was our customer. We started off, we were looking into commercial more so than residential. It's just now, it's switched from where we really do just pass off the commercial to another company and stick with residential. What I did find out, a lot of people who take in cleaning services are people who the husband and wife both work, they have kids, they don't have time to do it on weekends.
We were originally predominantly focusing on providing the service to specific agencies like the Canadian Hard of Hearing Association or the Canadian Hearing Society, as well as people in schools. But we found that there's many people with hearing loss that are in the workplace, and we often go to board meetings for them. We've gone to conferences. We've even gone to court for people with hearing loss to act as a note taker for them in the courtroom. So we've discovered that our market is much broader than we originally had forecasted. We've provided this service to places as far away as Windsor, Ontario, and to Thunder Bay.
Have everything? Yeah.
A lot of people are completely unaware of computerized note-taking and what it's capable of doing and accomplishing for them. For us, it's a lot of public education.
As you can see, I'm just reading over my latest newsletter. I produce this on a quarterly basis, talks about topical information.
My marketing materials would be dispersed to an audience of, say, over, 500 lawyers and 500 insurance companies. You know, the creativity, the persistence, and producing, marketing materials such as that, has to be done on a regular basis, because you always have to have your face in front of your customer.
You'll see that I have a postage meter, so when those newsletters are ready for mailing, I could just put them through the postage meter.
I can't tell you how many times I've been told no. And I think as a salesman, I think that's or salesperson, that's one of the things that you learn, is that you're going to get more no's than you are yeses. However, it comes down to numbers. And so if I approach 10 people and one of them accept my services or hire me, that's one thing. If I approach 100 people and 10 of them accept my services, that's another thing. If I approach 1,000 people and 100 people accept my services, then you can easily see how it snowballs from there. But the work or effort involved in approaching that many people can be quite considerable. My advice to anybody who's trying to start up a business would be to don't be afraid to ask questions. The more questions you can ask, the more information you're going to get, and the more information you have, the more empowered you'll be to make informed decisions.
Factoring in disability, access and accommodation.
The disability allowed me to be able to focus on a career using my creative skills. I wasn't much of working on the farm and working on construction sites or stuff like that because of my polio.
I think it's important for people who are considering going into entrepreneurship to look at what their own physical limitations are or cognitive limitations, depending on what they've got, and then try to match up what they feel they might need as far as physical accommodations.
I needed to find a location where elevators were available, that I didn't have to do a lot of walking. I'd prefer to have a very good chair because of my back, a very good chair that I could adjust and control. I got a very nice desk where it was like in a corner unit, and I had available all the computer elements and all the projects that I was working on were within easy access by just turning around in any direction. One of the biggest advantages that I have by running my own business and not working for someone else in a corporate environment is that I can take the rest that I require when I need to. And I find I can take 15-minute power naps and be better and more effective as an individual for my customers.
I required special telephones. I required a TTY. I required a special amplified telephone. I require phone adapters. I require light systems to let me know.
In my office, I do have voice recognition. I also have a thing called JAWS, which is called Job Access with Speech.
Hello, and welcome to the Kurzweil 1000 version.
And I also have a program called the Kurzweil 1000, which scans my stuff into the computer and reads it back to me.
Even though you are an entrepreneur and even though you are self-employed, it takes a lot of people to make the engine run. So, for example, my wife does do my website designs. I need my wife or someone, I guess, to act as an editor to help edit the reports that go out there, because what I'm producing is a legal document. So the T's have to be crossed and the I's have to be dotted.
When we go into the house, we automatically inform them that I do have a visual impairment and that my wife, she will go through the house, she'll give me the square footage of the house, and we both come up on a price for the house. If I have to go out on a job site, again, she's there to drive me and she's with me all times.
I use a hands-free telephone, and although it's not an impediment to myself, sometimes it can be quite intrusive to other people.
So we will see what pans out first.
So that was one thing that I guess attracted me in being self-employed, was that I basically can talk as loud as I want and have my own office downstairs and no problem at all.
Meeting new people, I try to bring them to me because I bring them to an environment, I bring them to our office, and it's an environment that I function well in with my hearing loss.
So I just back myself onto the elevator. So it's now time to try to get some work done.
I guess part of the reason that I enjoy working out of my house is that I don't have much of a commute time. The other thing too is that due to my disability, which is a spinal cord injury, sometimes individuals can be prone to pressure sores. I've seen me lie in bed with voice recognition software, talking to my computer and a telephone, and still able to produce at a very competitive rate.
Adding it up. Financial considerations.
You not only have to contend with the normal financial problems and financial upkeep that you would require to get a business going, you also have the financial investment required to run it as a person with a disability.
When I set up my office, we looked at the cost of $2,000 for setting up the desk alone. That was to ensure it was high enough so I can get under, because I am 6'3", and my height was a consideration that one had to look at. I bought most of the typical equipment, office equipment that most people would buy, i.e. a photocopier, a fax machine, a printer. But again, there were other items such as voice recognition products.
We practically started this business off with almost no money. We had We had no revenue really to speak of. We had no savings. So we started it off with very little. The Canadian Hard of Hearing Association to this day allows us to run the business out of their office. And so we have no overhead cost and rent and so on to deal with our business. We did up our own brochures. David designed and laid out brochures on paper, and we printed them up with the printer we had at the time and folded them. So they're all homemade. The business cards were the same sort of thing. You do the best you can with what you have at the time. We were able to take out a very small loan of about $1,500 to start up the business, and we had to repay that loan.
I had a lot of the equipment software available already over time. The research that was required was basically to make sure that I had financial resources available to maintain the business at the startup stage.
It's not always obvious and it's not always there, but you have to become a detective and look. And you also need to be creative.
So there are resources out there, and you just have to find them and research and spend the time to look for the people who are willing to give you a line of credit, organizations that are willing to give you capital to maintain your business while you start.
Do your homework, to do your research, network, go out and find out through the grapevine what is available, because it's not openly out there a lot of the time.
I think you have to look at what are your cost of goods sold. So in other words, in my business, I produce reports. So I have to buy paper. I have to obviously buy the initial equipment that's out there. I have to pay people to collate or put the reports together for me. And that's all part of my operating cost before I can actually produce a report that I get paid for. Because of the way I've designed my business, I try to minimize what we call overhead costs.
And in financially, a lot of people with disabilities, I should say, don't have a big income, so you don't have any extra money to start a business. I started off with basically the personal assets me and my wife had together. We went and we started out, and I mean, we've bought equipment now. It's not new, it's used, but it's generated us revenues to pay for it. And you can get pretty good used equipment out there, just as good as what's new, for a half-decent price. And it generates a lot higher return on investment for you.
You have to really be realistic, and you have to come up with an idea that you can afford to do within the circumstances that you're living with now.
Taking the next step.
As long as you're willing to learn and you're driven to learn, then there's no reason why you cannot develop the skills that you need to do this.
I found a lot of information in their local libraries, and especially what type of business they want to go into.
The internet is a great resource.
You can go on Stats Canada on the internet and possibly get a report on that type of business, how good it is, how bad it is.
It can be very frustrating and trying in the beginning. There's no question about that, and you need to be ready for that. You need to be ready to deal with that, and in spite of it, be prepared to persevere and go forward anyway. There are many different places where we went to seek help and use their resources to help us with our business. It could be supports in terms of providing education and knowledge. It could be just wisdom, experience. This is a picture of myself with a lady named Rochelle Prue. She was a mentor to David and I when we started up our business. Somebody that you can talk to who may have been involved with people who've gone into business for themselves. There's many different avenues that you can go to, and we really should explore them all.
It's just a matter of self-confidence that you have in yourself to be able to focus and then put an action plan into place.
If you enjoy what you're doing, you can probably be successful, but it will be a lot of hard work. Keep in mind, you'll have to roll up your sleeves.
Loving what you do.
After doing all of your market research, after finding out exactly what your customers want, try to have fun with it.
First of all, they must love what they're going to be going at, because if they don't love it, they're not going to be at it very long.
Do something that you like. Look at what you're doing as a hobby, because you would be surprised how many people have started hobbies and made them into successful businesses.
And in terms of morale and self-esteem and that, it often feels wonderful to be self-employed.
There's a certain amount of fun or a sense of accomplishment in working all weekend and knowing that your deadline is Monday morning, and knowing that you earned that paycheck at the end of the day. There's also a certain satisfaction in regulating your own hours.
With the help of my wife, I just decided to start the cleaning company, and that's brought me basically a comfortable living for me, myself, my wife, and my 2 kids.
At this point in time, one of my objectives in maintaining or continuing to be an entrepreneur is to, of course, continue to help people with disabilities improve their quality of life. And as a registered rehab professional, I get to continue in that capacity.
It turned out better than anticipated, and it's something that, I would never give up. You couldn't offer me, if they came and offered me the Prime Minister's job, I'd just turn it down, because I'd rather be doing this.
Hello, I'm Wenda Abel.
I'm Jim Pullen of Pullen & Associates.
As consultants to exploring self-employment opportunities for people with disabilities, we've had the pleasure of working with the entrepreneurs you've seen in this video.
We think they have described their path to self-employment very eloquently. They carefully analyzed the skills, background, and interests that supported their idea of self-employment. They researched their business ideas and their ability to compete in the market.
They found creative solutions to their issues and barriers and made the commitment to self-employment with confidence in themselves and their vision.
They sought help when they needed it and adapted to change. These are their secrets to successful self-employment.
We hope their stories will be helpful to you as you explore your opportunities for self-employment.
My name is Ed Hobbs, and I'm the General Manager of the Toronto Business Development Centre. As a partner in exploring self-employment opportunities for people with disabilities, I hope that you've enjoyed meeting Dan, John, Kim, and Rudy, all successful entrepreneurs in their own right. You've learned why each of them chose self-employment over other options. Now, if you're a person with a disability, have a business idea, and would like to learn more about self-employment, I encourage you to follow up with the companion workbook to this video, the Self-Assessment Workbook. I hope that you will review this workbook, material specifically designed to help people like you to explore and assess self-employment opportunities. This workbook is available from the organization that has shown you this video. They will be glad to assist you with your next step. Thank you, and good luck.